Joe Rogan firing back at the moldy musicians waging war on free thought. This weekend, Joni Mitchell and guitarist Nils Lofgren joined Neil Young's boycott of Spotify, calling for the streaming service to censor the Joe Rogan Experience podcast and accusing the comedian of spreading COVID-19 misinformation. Joe issued a long video message today saying he has no hard feelings for the artist, but he takes issue with the term misinformation. Watch.
The problem I have with the term misinformation, especially today, is that many of the things that we thought of as misinformation just a short while ago are now accepted as fact. 8 months ago, if you said, if you get vaccinated, you can still catch COVID and you can still spread COVID, you would be removed from social media. They would ban you from certain platforms. Now, that's accepted as fact. If you said, I don't think cloth masks work, you would be banned from social media. Now, that's openly and repeatedly stated on CNN. If you said, I think it's possible that COVID-19 came from a lab, you'd be banned from many social media platforms. Now, that's on the cover of Newsweek.
Oh, Joe also offered to book more establishment-friendly guests on his show so they could counter what they call misinformation with the official Democrat narrative and boring talking points. So does that mean Dr. Fauci or the U.S. Surgeon General will be Rogan's next guests? Joining me once again, the party panel, Emily Compagno, Kristal Knight, and Cohen. So, Emily, I will start with you. Does it feel like Spotify is caving because they are going to essentially slap some labels on Joe Rogan's podcast?
I think they're trying to meet the mob in the middle, which is ensuring he still has a platform, and then they're putting some labels on it. And I think him saying that right there was also probably articulated and structured by them to make sure that he put out a statement where he is rational and he says, look, this is what I'm doing. I'm putting out the debate. We're going to have more people here. So I think it was sort of a rational, orchestrated response to what, as we know, is simply cancel culture. And I really appreciated the point he was making, which, to take it a little further from Glenn Greenwald, is essentially that the left has taken hate speech, which they officially canceled, and they denied the constitutional protection of it, albeit being ugly, and they've now broadened that category. They've put into it anything from disinformation to misinformation, and the issue is in part that it's such an elastic term, so much fits into it.
Absolutely.
So now they can put anything into it, and then that effectively cancels someone, but it also absolves them of being accused of censorship, which is what it is. Of course, people can choose what to do with their own music, but I really appreciate him fighting back, albeit in a sort of corporate way, and saying, well, I'm going to have two sides to every issue, because at a minimum, that's the conversation this entire society is missing, except for on this show.
So Neil Young and Joni Mitchell, they have careers because they fought against the establishment, Kristal. They fought for free speech when the establishment was so incredibly oppressive, certainly with ideas and protests surrounding the Vietnam War. But here you have, these same people being slightly hypocritical. And, you also agree with them that Joe Rogan should be temporarily suspended for spreading misinformation. But my question, Kristal, what is the misinformation specifically?
Well, I think the misinformation specifically, and really, he doesn't want to term it as misinformation, so we can say alternative facts. That's a Republican-friendly term.
What are those facts?
But those facts are stating that you can take ivermectin, that you don't need to wear a mask, that the vaccine does not work and does not prevent death. Those are things that are dangerous that people are really listening to.
He didn't say those things, though.
But he did.
He actually didn't. He took ivermectin. That was one of the treatments that he took when he was treated with COVID.
Wait a minute. Sharing that you should take ivermectin versus the COVID vaccine that has been FDA approved, that's dangerous. Are you disagreeing with that?
Yes, I do disagree with that, because I think that is a choice that human beings can make with their doctors. Having suffered through COVID twice and having been vaccinated, ivermectin.
So why were you vaccinated if ivermectin exists? Like, why were you vaccinated then?
I was also vaccinated, and chocolate-covered strawberries exist.
But it doesn't make sense.
I was vaccinated and hydroxychloroquine.
No, you're refuting your own point.
No, my point is, I was not vaccinated because someone forced me to be vaccinated. I was vaccinated because I had a conversation with my doctor, who said
But are you
should get
using your
vaccinated.
platform?
And then
But are you using your platform
if you would let
to
me
share
finish my
that people
sentence, that
should
would be
take
great.
it?
And then ivermectin, if you and your doctor feel that that is a treatment that's appropriate for you, absolutely. If you and your doctor feel hydroxychloroquine is appropriate for you, if the other drug that is $4 a pill, as reported by the Wall Street Journal, that has been very effective in treating COVID symptoms, if you want to take that and you and your doctor agree that that is a good treatment for you, absolutely should. So you haven't done the best job refuting. There is
I don't think you have either.
I absolutely have, because I got COVID, got double vaccinated, got COVID again. And
okay, well,
so the vaccine,
well,
I got COVID from someone who was vaccinated as a vaccinated person. So he's absolutely right about that. You can get COVID if you've been vaccinated. If you've been vaccinated and you get it again, you should have more treatments available than just authoritarians telling you, you need to get vaccinated. It's like,
Kennedy, the common denominator is COVID, and I think we can both agree that that's what we're trying to beat. Not these, conspiracy theorists, not these, alternative facts that folks are out here sharing. And I think you're using your platform in a responsible way, and that's not the way that Joe Rogan has been using his platform.
Yeah, Joe Rogan can use his platform how he wants to use his platform. That's what he's paid for. He's also paid to ask questions and challenge ideas.
Well,
that's his job.
People are leaving Spotify. People are leaving Spotify.
And people are finding that particular podcast by the hundreds of millions because they have been lied to by their government and by doctors within the government who have known much more, who have withheld information, and a federal government that has withheld critical life-saving treatments from Americans. So you know what? Yes, Kristal, they are going to different people because they want an opinion that is not tainted by federal dollars and mandates. I'm going to let Spike finish.
Okay.
So first of all, Neil Young is playing everyone. He has had a long-standing feud with Spotify over what he says is their poor audio quality and their poor compensation of artists. This was a perfect opportunity for him to leave Spotify and get more attention and more press than he's ever gotten in his entire life. He's now prominently featured on platforms like Apple and YouTube, which also hosts Joe Rogan. He has played everyone. You're all being scammed. In defense of Joe Rogan, and I'm not just defending Joe Rogan because he voted for me, but in defense of Joe Rogan, he has already had critical viewpoints and opposing viewpoints on his show. He had Sanjay Gupta on his show more than once. He has had multiple people on his show with all sorts of different viewpoints. He himself has said that, he gave perfect examples of things that were once considered misinformation and are now considered facts. And I think it is his actually much more balanced approach than much of the corporate media has had, which is why he has higher ratings than every other media platform combined. That isn't by accident. It's not just because he's spewing conspiracy theories. I actually think he's more balanced, or is providing more balanced opinions, which would make sense because Joe Rogan's actually kind of a centrist than many of the corporate media are. And I think that's why he's having the success he is. And Neil Young has played all of you.
Yes.